just to let Mark know, I've at Mike's request, I've pinned him for everyone or spotlighted him for everyone so that some of the videos are visible for all, but we can change that. Just shout when you want settings changed, Mike.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
We can fiddle in the background and try and work whatever magic you would like.
Well, we probably, as long as you're happy, we'll stick with it. So everything will be in. Just to explain to people who are joining, I don't share slides that are all sort of in this. My other job is IT, so I'm a bit of a geek when it comes to stuff like this. So I have to remember to stand in the right position. And it's hard to look at the look at the camera and look at you guys. So and yes, if anybody can leave is happy to leave their video on, it's fantastic. If you could smile or laugh in the appropriate places when I say something that I think is funny, I'd be very grateful. So I get the feedback. It'd be very lonely when everyone's on mute.
On mute.
It's a strange world.
I've often wondered if I thought the other day when we had one of our other guest speakers where if I could unmute everybody and we could all clap, would the person hear our collective applause? And then I thought probably wouldn't work that way. I think what the computer would do is pick out whoever was loudest and flick between them. Have you tried doing group applause?
It would probably work. It wouldn't be in time. You can't. It's the timing is the issue based on latency and various things. But yeah, you'd pick it up because the Teams would pick it up as a conglomerate of noise at the same time and then just pump it through to everyone. So it would work. It would work all right.
Never a bad time for applause or laughter, I don't think.
Hiya, Helen. You right?
Familiar faces.
A recovering XONS colleague. I'm still there, mate. I'm still there.
I know. I was only thinking, because we're trying to curate some resources and themes to explore leadership each month. And I was thinking of titling it "Reflections on Leadership."
Well, from
little
ONS, there isn't any there. It's just lots of statisticians.
I'm fascinated by your history at the ONS. That must be, because you hear it all the time, don't you? The ONS, the Office for National Statistics, say 92% of people don't think the Prime Minister should still be in office. Sorry, talking politics on a Teams call.
Yeah, I got told off. For talking politics on another NHS one.
Did you?
Yeah, because I'd mentioned it was actually the day that the American elections were on.
Oh yeah.
When it was
Biden and Trump were tete-a-tete.
Yeah, and it was I might have had a slide with an orange with a wig on, possibly as a which might have been a bit inappropriate. So I got a slap wrist for that.
Oh, naughty. I don't think we're obliged, like the BBC, to be apolitical, are we?
No. It was one of those things. We had a great time, hundreds of people, but one person said, I swore because I used the 4-letter word starting with S and ending in T, and I went, that's not swearing. This is swearing. And I apologise in advance. I'm using that word twice today at least, but in the right context. It's in a safe context. On there. Oh, love your dog, Helen. So if you join in, put it in the chat. What's your chocolate? So you can only have all chocolate bars except one get destroyed, and you can only eat one chocolate bar for the rest of your life. What would it be? All right, hard choice. Needs to be sustainable. Not your occasional thing. I know. So a couple of people said Bounty, and I thought, oh, couldn't have a Bounty every day. I like a Bounty. Oh, Dime Bar, yeah, crunchy. Snickers, good choice, Nicola. Get some, not just carbs then. Picnic, Star Bar. Lots of crunchy ones there, interesting.
Arrow.
Toffee Crisp. Yeah, I couldn't do a mint aero. I like an orange aero, but I couldn't do a mint aero every day. But yeah,
Is it even a
if you like
chocolate bar?
mint,
I'm not sure what the green stuff is.
good choice, Stephanie. A twirl. I think a twirl. We had a dairy milk earlier. I think a twirl is just a softer way of eating dairy milk, which is nice. Topic. Yeah, you don't really get hazelnut and everything. They're tiny now, aren't they? I used to love a topic when I was a kid, but now they've gone. There's hardly any nuts in them. Mars bar. Yeah, fair enough, Charlotte. Oh, Andrew, something very expensive. Are you talking Ferrero Rocher? Kit Kat Chunky. Oh, heathen, Angela. Yeah, you can't have not the chunky. That's not right. A Kit Kat has to have four fingers. That's your true Kit Kat. Snickers, Bounty. Oh, respect, June. If that's a lot of coconut every day. Vegan, a Nomo bar. Fair enough. Fair enough. Twirl every time, double decker. Not the best. Yeah, Turkish delight. Oh, every day. I love Turkish delight, Emma, but every day. Could you? That's interesting. There are no wrong answers, by the way, and I'm not going to shame you for picking anything. It's not about shaming. This is about self-care and well-being today.
Mike, we've given people a few extra grace minutes to join, and we're just past 2. So I think if you're happy to make a start, I'll give you a quick introduction and then you're
Cool.
ready to go. Everybody, thank you for joining today. This is the last of our guest sessions for Leadership Month, but I think because we've had some really great feedback and some success from hosting these sessions, I don't think they'll be a thing of the past. I think that we'll probably try and continue. So today, for the last session in May, we've got Mike Martin, who is from The Art of Brilliance, and he's going to talk to us today about brilliant leadership. So Mike, I'll hand over to you.
Thank you, Pippa. Welcome, everyone. So firstly, apologies to the vegans. I got this off Facebook, and there are no vegan options on there, but please throw in any vegan options. Quickly, the answer is Kit Kat, four-finger Kit Kat. Keeps delivering every day. You can eat, I could eat 6 of them every day without problem. And as you can see from my size, I might actually have done that for the last however many years of my life. So welcome. My name is Mike Martin. I'm for a company called Art of Brilliance. I'm going to talk to you about being brilliant, and you're probably thinking, well, that's a bit weird. But firstly, I'm super excited to be here. I love working with the NHS, particularly in Plymouth. We've done a couple of things, and fantastic people. So thank you, everyone, for everything you do for us. For a start, you are probably looking a bit like this. So some of you are going, ooh, it's a bit weird. What's he going to do? This can be exciting. Why is he talking about chocolate and stuff like that? So I'll tell you a bit about that in a minute. Firstly, all of my stuff is done in this screen, so that's why I'm spotlighted. If you can't quite see anything, if you adjust the size of your Teams window so you can get it like to 16 by 9, you'll be able to see anything. So you have a little play, and could we check how good are we? Probably all pros at Teams now. Could I have a thumbs up just to see, because we might use thumbs up later to see that everyone knows where the thumbs up is. So it's on the reactions and no technology thumbs up. Yeah, so we got that. Fantastic. So we got technology thumbs up, so we can do little voting things and bits like that. I will be using so if you want to open a separate browser window and go to slido.com and then put in AOB.1 when you get there. I've got some polls that we're going to use a bit later, but if you're not sure and you never used Slido before, don't worry, I've got some slides to quickly tell you how to do it. So firstly, introductions. Hi, my name's Mike. I'm 57. I'm from Wales, live in Cardiff. This is a bit of Wales, not in Cardiff. It's a bit just lake in Snowdonia. I live in God's country, the beautiful part of the world, almost as beautiful as Cornwall and Devon. I have to say, but you know, they're equal favourites for me. And you think everyone living in that part is living in Wales would be walking around dancing, singing, and happy, but they don't seem to be. So I've been on a bit of a journey for many years. Came across Art of Brilliance in 2013, changed my life by 2015. I was working with Andy and the team. So and being brilliant, I'm not gonna talk to you about being anything else but you today. Being brilliant is about being the best version of you. And you all know how to be the best version of you. But I'm pretty much sure particularly after the last 2 years, sometimes being the best version of you isn't a default setting, and it can be quite challenging. And so I've got some practical, actionable tips for you today on how to be that best version of yourself. Because as leaders, we're talking about leadership. You're sort of not allowed to have a bad day because everyone's looking to you to set the tone. So we'll talk about that. But even though this is a work thing, and Pippa's going to not listen now, and she's organised and paid for this as a work thing, this is not about work, okay? So this is about you and your personal well-being today, right? So that we can focus on that and self-care, because I've worked with loads of teachers, I've worked with loads of people, in loads of NHS colleagues, and the common thing is you care deeply about people, and you tend to put them before everyone else, including you. So today is that reverse, and I need you to put yourself first on this. It's that age old. If the oxygen goes, stick the mask on first, so you can help people. Just to set the context of where we are, I never really saw this quote until Desmond Tutu died. So there comes a point where we need to stop just pulling people out of the river, and we need to go upstream and find out why they're falling in. So that encapsulates what Art of Brill do. We haven't got any mental health interventions. Our stuff would be quite trite in that context. This is about people who are functioning on that normal side, but having a hard time, and tips and tricks to how to get that best version of you out. There are a lot of books, and if you are interested, at the moment, The Art of Being Brilliant on when I last checked on Amazon, is actually cheaper than I can buy it at cost. So it's well worth. There's some good bargains on Amazon at the moment. So we've got lots of books that prop it all up. So what are we going to do today? I'm going to start with reflecting on the year. Right, and just a little bit around that. Then I'm going to touch on leadership and fleas. Then I'm going to look at the science of positive psychology, talk a little bit about that. But I'm going to use one big word, but that should be about it. And then we'll do some top tips around how you bring out that best version of you, how you can make that the default when you wake up in the morning. And we're going to finish with a bit of self-care. So hopefully that's all right. I'm going to use chat. I'm going to use Slido, and if people want to unmute, they can and have a chat, or put your hand up. How are we doing? Yes, we've got 70 or 80 people. If we all chatted at the same time, it would probably not be great. So we'll manage that. But it's awfully silent in here. So, but as you can hear, I can just fill that silence with my voice. So and be quite manic about it. So, up until about 2019, I'm sure Pippa, I know she's seen me, I used this slide was my opening. Does life feel a bit like that for you? So pretty much everyone will go, yeah. Had to upgrade in 2020 because it all went a bit Pete Tong. So I went for this one in 2020. Does it feel like a bit like that? And we thought it was gonna, things were going to edge off, but we're still in 2022. I needed something else, so warning, swear word coming. So this is my 2022 representation. So I don't know whether people feel that that's where we are. There's still some masks around. Out there, though they are reducing. Took me a while to find the best version for me. When I was shopping, people kept coming up to me. They wouldn't socially distance. So anyway, this has been my go-to for the last 2 years, right? And fantastic. So highly recommend it if you're shopping. No one comes in the aisle near you when you're walking around. Downsides, if you have to walk back through the woods to get to your house, people will ring the police, and don't go and pick your kids up in that outfit. You get arrested. But apart from that, it's all right. Also, I've been sort of banned from, this was an illegal thing that I used to talk about, hugging. So we're sort of over it. So as long as it's appropriate. So top tip number one, probably not for work, right? Unless you really know them well. But for home, friends, and whoever else. So the average hug lasts about 2.1 seconds, but the love doesn't transfer. So there's been a lot of science done on this, and they worked out that you have to hold on for 7 seconds, right, for the hug to transfer, for the love to transfer in the hug. So I'll go on the full screen sec now, just to show you. So what I want you to do with your kids, loved ones, friends, whatever, when you go home, is when you go in for a hug, right, stick your arms around them as per normal, but then I need you to lock your hands, right, because they tend to start struggling after about 2.5 to 3 seconds, right? So you've got to lock them in, right? Count to 7 in your head, right? So it's important to do it in your head. If you're counting out loud, it's a bit rubbish and it spoils it all. Hold on, right? And it's brilliant. Love transfers. So that's your top tip number one, to get some love in yourself and to love in some, with everyone else. So we'll start there. But critical thing. So today is about your well-being cup. How full is your well-being cup? I was chatting to some people about a week ago on a session, and they said, well, the thing is, Mike, I've always been a really positive person, but this last 2 years has really got me down. So even the best of us has been really knocked over these recent years and doing that. And what I find particularly with people in caring professions is they've been giving more and more and more, but they haven't been tending to their own well-being and their own cup, right? So we've got some noise there that you can mute, please, everyone. That would be good. Do you want to get on the muting, Pippa, and do that? Fab. So what we want to do now is the first thing I want to do is, if you've got the Slido and go to AOB1, I'm going to start the first poll. So the question is, how full is your tank at the moment? How full is your well-being tank? So a 10 is fully topped up, really happy, bouncing around, slightly irritating sometimes when I come in the morning because I'm so joyous. 0 is I'm right on the edge, and I'm not a happy bunny. So if you could put that, and then what I'll do is I will share that so you can see it forming, to see how we are. So we've got a good range there, some quite low, some high. So five is coming up as an average. I'll see if there's any more. Yeah, so there's a few more coming. So that's good. So we've got some good few high ones. Obviously, the bigger the number, the more votes it's got. So a 9 is, as you would expect, an outlier, but 8, 7s, 5s are good. 6s, and they're still coming in. So you can see we've got a variety of there. So if you're on an 8 and 9, there's still stuff in here that'll help. But so have a look at it. But it might be tweaks. If you're on a 2, I really would. So some of the key things we talk about, really give them a go. They're worth investing the time in, and they'll help a lot. So thanks for doing that. And oops, we don't want that. So key thing for today is top tips to get you up there. The ultimate is the more you are the best version of you, the more like you'll be able to cope with and respond to things rather than react to them. Because when you're reacting, you're out of control. That control gives you anxiety, gives you stress, it lowers your resilience. So it's all about giving you more levels of control. And we're not talking about fundamentally changing anything. Thumbs up, right, if you were expecting the world to slow down so that you can give you time to catch up. Let's see, yeah, anybody got any thumbs? No, right? But yeah, so you're hoping. There's. So we'll talk about unrealistic optimism a bit later then. Thanks for that, Pippa. So we know the world's not going to slow down. It seems to be getting ever more bonkers. But maybe, oops, sorry, I'm on the wrong. Maybe. So we can't change the world, but maybe we can change the way we think about the world, and maybe in changing the way we think about the world, we can handle it a bit better. And that's what we're looking at. Thumbs up if you've got to-do lists. Anybody got some to-do lists? Yeah, multiple to-do lists. Seeing Mark there nodding. Getting longer. Yeah, right. Thumbs up if you've got a to-be list that you tend on a regular basis. So that's a to-be list, and that's what today is going to be. That's what today is going to be about. So I'm going to make you do a little bit of work. So we're going to do a little bit on Slido now. I'm just going to start up the next poll, and I want you to put in, so don't put in 3 words together, put a word in, enter, a word in, enter, and a word in, enter. 3 words that describe you at your best, and we'll get a little we'll get a little word cloud going to see what that's about, and I'll see how we're going. So 3 words that describe you at your best. So firstly, can I compliment you all, because a lot of people find it quite hard to think of 3 words at their best. If I'd said 30 at your worst, you'd have been easy, good on it. So the speed with which you've done that is fantastic, and probably the fastest I've seen it. So well done for having that. God, what a brilliant. Wow. Wow, you are definitely the best audience I've had for doing that. That's brilliant, that is. Fab. The reason I do this is a lot of people don't think about what they're like at their best. If you understand, the more you understand about what you're like at your best, the more like you are to notice when you're not doing it. So it's a useful thing. If anybody is struggling, what I'd suggest is a 3 a.m. friend. Call them 3 a.m. friend. Someone you'd ring up at 3 a.m. because you accidentally killed someone and you need to bury the body, right? Someone you would trust to do that. Have a chat with them. Go buy them a coffee and say, why are you friends with me? Find out what they see in you. They will see, because they will give you a different aspect, and it will absolutely be a good experience for them and a lovely experience for you. Everyone who's done it has fed back to me that it's brilliant. Yes, someone will do something silly. If it's someone that who's your best friend, but has made bad life choices throughout their lives, don't ask them. Because they're probably not the best advisors. So that was a fab job there. So thank you for that on there. So That's 3 at your best. Now I'd like you to do another one, which is, let me just change it, at your worst. So 3 at your worst, just to focus on. Yeah, argumentative, impatient, grumpy, withdrawn, irritable, disengaged, impatient, critical, tired, overthinker. So I'll tell you a secret. I was up in London on Tuesday, working with the Royal College of Speech and Language Therapists, and I was doing this, and they were doing it on paper. And one lovely person there had put under that she had a column for worst and a column for best, and on the column for worst she'd put overthinker, and she hadn't then got another 2 things. She hadn't got anything else done, so she got stuck on overthinker, which I thought was hilarious. Only procrastinator would have been a better first word on there. Wow. So that is brilliant, and I could probably, if I'd have said, "Oh, put 10 of those in, or 20 of those in," you'd be able to do that, because we tend to focus more on what we're bad at and how we can improve it, rather than what we're good at and how we can improve that. So thank you for those. Just going to go back now. So I'm not going to ask you to do this, but I'm going to ask you to have a think about this after. So just have a think. So there's 2 versions of you, and there's a massive difference between you at your best and you at worst. Is a game changer, right? So it's hugely different. Which version of you do patients, colleagues, and family most often see? And I would pretty much guess that colleagues and patients might see the better version of you more than the family does, and sometimes the family gets it. Most common conversation I have is, "Oh, yeah, the family get it at the end of the day because I'm knackered and I've done all this, and we've had that." Right, so have a think about that, and maybe you might want to look at things on how we can change it. This one's even more important, because which version of you do you get to spend most of the time with? Okay, you can walk away from friends, family, work. You can switch off social media. You can switch your phone off. But you can't get away from the voice in your head. And when you're being that worst version of yourself, I pretty much guess that the voice in your head's a bit more crueler than it should be, than it could be. And again, a lot of the stuff, the actionable stuff we're going to talk about today, will help with that voice in your head. That'll help you. I've worked on the voice in my head for 15, 20 years. It's always nice to me, even when it's so after this, it'll be saying, "Well, you could have done that better, you could have done that better," but I don't take it as negative. I'm really grateful for it, because I know the voice loves me. And it took me a while to do that, but I'd sort of realized early on in life I can't get away from the voice in my head. And it being my friend is probably a useful thing to do. So just have a reflect on that. Hopefully you've heard of Simon Sinek, and his starts with why, and he's a bit famous in the leadership. One of the things he talks about is inspiration as a leader, and everyone says, as a leader, you need to inspire your team, your staff, your people, so that they will follow you. And I'm sure that you come in the morning and you sit down, and the first 30 minutes is, how am I going to inspire my staff today? What shall I do? What shall I wear? Probably not. What Simon says is, don't try and do it. Just be inspired. Right? If you walk through work, and every time your teams experience you are inspired, it pretty much will ripple off to them and rub off on them, and they will be there. And when you're that best version of you, I'm pretty sure you're inspired and bouncing and happy. Another guy you probably heard of is Daniel Goleman, who came up with the concept of emotional intelligence. He talks about a concept of emotional soup. So your team, your wider team, the culture, any culture with people in it, he would say that the flavor, the overall, that culture is an emotional soup. Every individual in that team contributes to the flavor. Now, if you're the leader or you've got authority in that group, your flavor counts for more. So again, think through today, what, you know, when you're coming in, what sort of flavor am I adding to the soup today when you walk in? You know, is it a bit salty, spicy, you know, getting exciting, maybe a bit of chili, you know, so it's is it zingy, or is it, you know, what is it? So have a think about that. There's another thing that there's a proven but not measured multiplier effect. This is the best slide I can come up for multiplier effect, sorry, that leaders have. So whatever the influence in a situation, whether it be in a leadership context, team leader, or even at home as a parent, there's a multiplier effect on the influence you have. So it's just be mindful that if everyone's having a bad day in a team, you having a bad day impacts on that team worse than them. If everyone's having a good day on that team, your good day impacts positively on them better. So it's sort of, you have to fake it. You have to fake it and then have a quiet bad time with a mate or something. You know, you can't afford to be. Has anybody ever worked in? People used to ask me, "Oh, how's your day going, Mike?" And I'd say, "Let me tell you when the boss comes in." You know, Helen used to work in the same place, so we used to work in the same place together. And if the boss comes in and they've got their shoulders, their head down, and they're miserable and they're grumpy, you go, right, I'm in for a bad day now, aren't I? It's not going to be great. So you can feel that, and you would tangibly feel it. So it's about how we pretend. I'm really lucky. So I used to work with a team, and I used to do exactly that. I would walk in, I would be looking miserable, not because I was miserable, but because I was thinking. I was planning the day and strategizing in my head. So I sort of had resting bitch face, going completely switched off the face, thinking, going in. And my team were wonderful to me because they'd say, "Oh, all right, Mike, how you doing?" And I say, "Oh, I'm fabulous, thanks." And they go, "Oh, can you tell your face then?" Which was brilliant, because then I could snap out of it. It was almost like a gift to me to snap out of it, so that I could convey what I was like on the inside, on the outside, so that they could then feel that better. And again, it's a lot about emotion. I think being a great leader is all about that emotional connection that we have with people. I've got a little video to illustrate, so I should be back in a second.
Training fleas requires a glass jar with a lid. The fleas are placed inside the jar and the lid is then sealed. They are left undisturbed for 3 days. Then, when the jar is opened, the fleas will not jump out. In fact, the fleas will never jump higher than the level set by the lid. Their behaviour is now set for the rest of their lives. And when these fleas reproduce, their offspring will automatically follow their example.
So as you probably guessed, that wasn't about fleas. That was about how people learn off each other, particularly people who's closest to us, our children. They won't do what we ask them to do, but they will copy us a lot. So it's about thinking about that, and the same happens in teams. So the leader does very much set that tone. So you've got that real opportunity to change your whole team's lives, and really manage that well, and do that, and say we'll talk about that as we go through. we've got there's a fundamental little thing in your head called the reticular activating system. I won't talk too much because I'm on NHS and people will go, oh, I know about reticular activating systems. I have to look it up the first time I did it. So it regulates temperature, which is really cool. There's lots of other cool things, but the big thing it does is it filters your reality and makes it so you can cope with everything that's hitting you. And because your reticular activating system loves you, it tries to send you things that make you right. So my confession is my mother thought that the world was a scary place out to kill you. That was her thing. That's what she taught me. So I learned to run away from negative stuff and spot the negative stuff in everything. I am brilliant at it. I am absolutely superb. I had to learn to see the positive stuff. She wasn't a bad mother. She was a brilliant mother, loved me very much, and she was doing the best she could for me. But I spent the first 36 years of my life having a fantastic life that didn't feel like that when I lived it. Now I look back on it, it was brilliant, but when I lived it, it was okay. But it could have been better because of the way my reticular activating system worked. It showed me the negative stuff. Other people will learn on the to look on the positive stuff. My stepson, he never saw any danger. He only saw joy and things like that, which was a challenge when we were on a cliff. And he was playing with a football, but overall, it was a better way to live. But the fantastic thing, the greatest gift, this is the biggest word we use, the greatest gift we've ever given was neuroplasticity, the joy that the brain can rewire itself. But it rewires itself based on the stuff we run through it. So everything we think is really about habits. It's about getting those habits to create those pathways in the brain to rewire them. So everything I'm going to give you in terms of tips in the next hour are things that they take a bit of effort. You've got to be bothered. You've got to practice and they've got to do them regularly until they become habits. And you've got to, and also you all know that we're born with a default negativity bias. Right, fear of saber-toothed tigers and things like that. So we've got that negativity bias to cope with. Plus, we've got a constant bombardment of what I would call consumer society, which wants you to believe that you aren't enough and that happiness is somewhere over there. Sorry, somewhere there, as you can't see my hand, somewhere over there, not within inside us. That if they sell you something, you're going to be happy. My representation is this. Right, this is the most beautiful, I think that's the ultimate thing, that the dog is just enjoying a day and the bloke is wanting for something. And that was the first thing. It's 36 years of my life, boom, like that. There was something better. Now, I've got an example of a dog's diary to show you where you can get to be if you go to Ninja. I don't think we're going to get there. All right, so we're every day, best day of my life, new best day like every day. But that's how a dog lives. What a great life. But I think we can do better. The other thing that's hitting us is this sums it up for me on social media. That we are constantly looking at people's show reels, the best, the hits, the highlights of their days, and comparing them to how we feel now, knowing the full history of our day. So we're comparing different things. So because that's hitting us every day, you have to keep working at the positive reinforcement. Otherwise, it will get there. The third thing is we are living in Britain, and being British. Oh, I'm doing the fingers. Being British means we've got to be a bit fair to middling. We're not allowed to be happy. We're a bit dull and dismal and things like that. That's the default. So again, this is the where I found. So if you want to fit in with the rest of people, you've got to be a bit miserable. So my advice today is I need you to be more like Tim, right? And choose not to fit in, because when you don't fit in and you can be that positive best version of yourself, your world pretty much opens up on there. I hope, I'll just looking, you said no slides. Hope you can see the slides there. They're in my screen, so I think we're okay. Big message for today: don't listen to social media, don't listen to consumer society. You're good enough. You always were, you always will be, right? And then it's getting to reinforce that in you, so that being content with what you have, but still joyous about the stuff that you get. It doesn't stop you wanting more, but it's about, you know, don't let anybody convince you otherwise. So maybe happiness isn't over there. Maybe they were lying to you all their life. Maybe happiness is something that we choose to have and is inside us. Maybe it's a means rather than an end. So the happiest people get the best jobs, because guess what? Who wants to employ someone who's miserable? You know, for social fit, the happiest people find the person of their dreams, because they've got great friends and things like that. So fundamentally, we believe that you know, happiness is that is a start, it's a means, not an end. Another weird thumbs up one now, I think. So thumbs up if you have got a drawer at home where you keep your pants or knickers. Yep, pants or knicker storage facility, good. So we got some there, thank you. So thumbs up if in that drawer you have what I would call, let's get on full, special pants. Whether they be pull-in pants, ones that make you feel good. You've got a bit of a stride in your step, so you've got them on. You'll be walking down. Anybody got good? Excellent, Bernadette, good girl. Nice to see you. So we know. So we got some special pants. Not too many special pants there. Anybody got any last resort pants or knickers in there? Ones that sit at the bottom. You don't really want it. They're not really comfy. Yeah. So we got more. Yeah. So we got some of those. Fab. So my tip for the day then is, so on the weekend, get some time, go through the pants drawer, right? Chuck out the rubbish pants, the last resort pants, and maybe if money allows, get some more of those special pants in, the ones that make you feel great, because our general mantra is life is too short, every day is a special pants day. All right, so this all leads up to this number. Anybody know what that number would be? You should be, if you want to, you can come off, you can unmute and shout out, or stick it in the chat. Any thoughts on 4,000 weeks? Number of weeks you live for. Well done, Helen. Yeah, so it's slightly more in the UK. So it's 4,133 for males, or I should say people born male, and 4,233 for anybody born female. On there, I'll just show you. That's mine so far. Done about 3,020 of them. So I've used up a fair few, and I think really what I've learned is maybe anybody feeling like they're going to live forever. Now I've told you we've all got about 4,000 weeks, give or take. So it feels a bit weird, but maybe life's too short to write off Mondays as a bad day, or as a lot of teachers I know do, write off everything before half term, or as my sister used to do, write off 48 weeks of the year as not being on holiday, and she had 4 weeks of holiday, and then she would count down from the end of her holiday to the next one. So for me, the big message is about, we haven't got that much time here, so let's make the best of it, and being the best versions ourselves will sort of help with that. So some science. I will keep the science quick. How are we doing on time? We're doing all right on time. So psychology, been over 100 years of psychology research, generally researching really ill people on a 0 to -10 scale. How can we get them up to 0 to stop them hurting themselves and other people? Then they started having those ideas about, well, could we research the people at the other end of the scale, and is there anything we can learn? I don't think positive psychology really came in until 1998, when a guy called Martin Seligman, who's the granddaddy of positive psychology, became president of the American Psychology Society, and then it got on the agenda. But he came up with some brilliant stuff that optimism could be learned. It wasn't a trait, and up until then they believed it was like, if you were born miserable, you were born miserable, tough. That was your life. So that learned that flourishing, all of the research. And the key thing about positive psychology, it isn't like positive thinking. It is very much saying that you cannot choose to be happy, right? And I talk about happiness, but you cannot choose to be happy. That's not, and it's not a thing. Happiness is a feeling. You can choose to have an attitude of realistic optimism, and all the 24 years of research is saying that if you do, you will live longer, you will be healthier, you will be less stressed, you will have better relationships, you will have better jobs, etc., etc. If I put the list of benefits of having an attitude of realistic optimism on a pill bottle, right, and put some little pills in there, I could sell them. I could sell them for millions. So my colleague Andy, who I work with, who set up Art of Brilliance, he did the first PhD in flourishing in the UK. He researched lots of positive people, finding out what was the similarity. And after many months of interviewing, the most important thing that came out of it was they chose to be positive. They made the choice. They'd realized that when they had a bad day, everything went worse. Their lives were a bit more miserable. Other people's lives were a bit more miserable. Things were harder. Problems were harder to solve. So they sort of changed it around. And we can represent it. So we found a few things about it. So let's say, the upper level is a 10. Right, Tigger, slightly irritating. If they come in first thing on a Monday morning, you might want to slap them while you're having a coffee. 0, getting close to that scary place. Right at the, empty on there. And what we found was about 2% of the population consistently stayed high, and we call them 2%ers. And we'll talk a bit about them in a minute. They weren't always happy. They weren't always happy. They were the best versions of themselves more often than not. Things happened to them like everyone else, so life occurred. But when it did, they would drop. They wouldn't drop as much as most people, and they would bounce back quicker in there. So they had high levels of resilience. We also found that there was a lump of people in what I would call the stuck category. Like I was for many years of my life, like I still can be. And we call them lovingly mood hoovers. So they've got a set of processes going on that allow them to see the negative side of life and point it out to people. So not bad people, and it's not depressed or mental health conditions, but it's just a little pattern that they run where they see the negative side and point it out, so they can suck the joy out of a room, a conversation, or stuff, things like that. Just to show you the actual research. So he plotted everyone on this spider graph, and that was the norm on there, whereas the 2%ers mapped at that. So I think there were 17 points, and 16 of the 17 were significant statistically significant. So it was a significant piece, and you can see they're on that right-hand side. So there's still a bit of nervousness in there, but generally that was a big piece. So I'm going to now risk the joy of unmuting and say, anybody know a 2% and want to share? The rules are, if you know a 2%, particularly if they're on this, you're allowed to shout out their name. When we talk about mood hoovers, we're just talking about behaviours. So anybody know a 2%er and would like to say what it's like to be around those people? So you can put your hand up, or you can just unmute and go for it. Risk. Took a risk. Anybody there? Anybody there? No, no one's in a sharing mode. Oh, I heard something. Go for it. No.
Yep, go on.
Go for it, mate.
So my work colleague Scott, who's also on this.
Oh, fab. So what's it like working with Scott?
You can probably hear him laughing in the background, actually.
Yeah. So tell us about Scott. What's it like? What's it like working with him?
Joyful. It doesn't matter how bad things are. Always looks on the positive.
Oh, fab. So that's a really nice thing to do for Scott, to say that. So well done, Scott. I take it, so general traits of 2%ers, they're not always the happiest people, but they're the best version of themselves. So they'll always find time for people. They'll be a good listener. They'll always look on a positive, like we talked about, Scott. You get energy off them. They give out energy. If you as a team leader can be that 2% version of yourself, you are giving your team energy. You're boosting them physically. On there, and it doesn't actually cost you. It's not at your once you practiced it, it's not a cost to your energy. So it's not that you're going to get drained by it. Whereas in that mood hoover relationship, if someone's being a mood hoover, they can be quite draining. On there, I think the Harry Potter equivalent is the Dementor type piece. So fab. Thanks for sharing that, Steve, and well done, Scott. So our next one is going to be mood hoovers. Again, not bad people, no names. This is just some things that they learned, and they've got some habits that help them look on the negative side. This is my favorite quote: some cause happiness wherever they go, others whenever they go. So anybody know a mood hoover and would like to share without disclosing anything, the traits? So you can't say my boss, obviously, or anything like that. I would give it away. But it's quite often, oh, my spouse comes up. Anybody got a mood hoover on what it's like to work with them or be with them? Anybody want to share? You started so brilliantly on the slide. You're a hard act when I asked you to unmute, you lot.
So I've only just arrived in UHP, so actually I can talk about a mood hoover for my previous organisation that I know nobody will know. And it was just really, really draining, because you'd all be sitting there in the morning and everything would be fine. You'd be looking forward to a day, and then the person would walk in and you'd say, "Morning, how are you? How's everything?" Thump, bang, bang on the table, and you just knew it was going to be like it every day. So it just felt a bit relentless to just know that was going to be the pattern that you were falling into. It's hard work.
Yep. And it's easy to get, that's brilliant, Sally, thank you. Easy to get sucked into. Again, not bad people. They're doing the best they can. Don't understand the impact of it. And you've got to be very careful when we talk about, you've got to be very careful to avoid in your team toxic positivity, where you don't allow people to be negative. So be mindful of it, and that you don't investigate whether there's something behind it. But a lot of people, how many of us have driven into work, been cut up on a roundabout, and relived that 27 times. You get in. I was you driving to work? Oh, I got cut up on a roundabout. There were 3 people cut me up, and by the end of the day, there were 75 people. One of them had a machete, right? And they'd all been texting and planning to wreck your life, and we do that. So this again, another little favourite. Was it really a bad day, or was it a bad 5 minutes, and did you milk it? On there? And unfortunately, the occasional mood hoover will milk it a bit more than it's needed. So just be mindful. I always look at it and say, in 2 months' time, how high on the Richter scale is this? A 1 or a 9 in 2 months' time? If it's a 1 in 2 months' time, let's treat it as a 1 now. You know, and we treat stuff like that. So in essence, what we found out was there's about 2% of the population that are at the top. A lot of people perfectly fine, a lot of people touching then on that mood hoover zone. And the reason we want to get people out of the mood hoover zone is it's easy to drop into that negative zone and go into that place where they need other interventions and need a lot more help, and it's a lot more darker place for them. So if we can get people to go up, the reality is we are all mood hoovers some of the time. I don't think I've ever met anyone who isn't a mood hoover, and I've never met anybody who isn't a 2%er some of the time. It's about getting those percentages right. I used to ask how often are you the 2% version of you, and the most common answer is not as much as I would like, not as often, and it's about that. Say through the week, our moods will change, things will happen, and I've sort of plotted 3 graphs. I think what we can agree with, the difference between being on that bottom line and that top line is massive for you, but also will be massive as a leader, is massive for everyone around you. So I've set the scene. So now I'm just going to run through top tips, and I will I'll send you a little mind map, Pippa, at the end if you want to circulate this round to people, so you don't have to write anything down, so that we can go through these. So the first thing, massive, the one thing I beg you to try. So this is, we call it the beautiful ordinary. Gratitude. It's about enjoying what you have rather than focusing on what you haven't got. So it is the simplest. It's simple. It's cheap. It takes a bit of effort, but it's absolutely the easiest way to rewire your brain. All right. So I did it for a year. I did the 3 good things every morning when I woke up, before I got out of bed. Right, 3 things to be grateful for. Right, so I always got out of bed with a smile. When I went to bed, 3 things to be grateful for before I went to sleep. I did it for a year, and I found that I'd be driving to work and I'd be planning the day and I'd be a bit grumpy, and my brain would then actually notice. So my brain had rewired and it started noticing stuff. Oh, look, the birds singing. What a lovely day. Sky's nice. Simple little things that I wouldn't have noticed because I was in my head, but my brain almost forced me out of that space because it's been wired to look at those things. I still see all the negative stuff, but it gets overwhelmed with the positive stuff. And when I say overwhelmed, it might just be a smile, it might just be someone holding a door open, it might just be Steve saying about his mate, you know, and that difference, and that it might just be a thank you that someone said that you might shrug off, but it makes a difference, and you notice and you latch onto it, and you see that most of the day isn't good or bad, it just is. And actually it's our brains and our thinking that overlay the, is this a good thing or a bad thing? So I'll still criticize myself after this to make sure I improve, but I won't take it as criticism. I'll take it as valid feedback, and I'll be extremely grateful for it. And that changes everything. So the conversation is the conversation. The tone of the conversation in my head is completely different, just down to that, and nothing nothing else. I'd done years of personal development before it. This is probably the simplest and most powerful. It'll sort 80% of your problems out, and then you can focus on the 20% or 80% of the things that maybe you would like to target just by doing positivity and looking at those and gratitude. So if you're having a hard day and there isn't much to be grateful for, you can just do the general things about health, your living. I've got a beautiful thing. Lovely NHS took me in 2 or 3 years ago. I had a double pneumonia. I was about that far from not being here. Scary, but sorted me out. And but as a result, every time I get up, first thing I do a big intake of breath. I can feel that there's a little bit of tension in the lungs that catches me, and it goes, remember that time, you're alive, mate. Right, so every morning I get this beautiful little reminder that today I'm living. If nothing else, there's what else is going on, I'm living. I got another day here, and that's fantastic. But this is a great one with the kids and with the family. So do the gratitude with your family, right? If you can do it at the dinner table, if anybody eats at the dinner table anymore, but doing that gratitude and doing it as a family, it will change the family. This one, what hasn't happened that you didn't want that you haven't celebrated? Right, it's quite hard to say. So for example, I woke up this morning, I looked out, and the zombie apocalypse hadn't started. Hey, it's a good day. It's going to be a great day then. Fantastic. Or something like that. So you can make up ridiculous things. My mate Andy used to wake up and go, I haven't got toothache today. Isn't that great? And then after about 6 months, he started regularly thanking his kidneys. He'd give his kidneys a rub and thank them for cleaning, cleaning everything out and doing their job. So you can be grateful for whatever. So if you're having a hard day, you can do that. Going back to the brain, it basically rewires it. It changes your beliefs and values. So as well as rewiring your brain, it changes that content that your reticular activating system uses, because what you're telling it every day is, I'm really interested in seeing the good parts of the day, the beautiful parts, the simple parts, the elegant parts, the parts that give me joy. So then when it's filtering, it filters out the average and the rubbish stuff, and it shows you the good stuff. So it really does rewire you. You get more days like that. She is a bit bonkers. Maybe that's a bit of an overexcitement, but certainly I don't want to have days like this. If we can have less of those, I think it would be better. So next. So I don't think, so we haven't got I'm running short of time, so I was going to ask you that, but just have a think about now what impact you want to have on people around you, and I'll give you some tips on how to do it. So my second big one is this one, the 4-minute rule, and I changed the slides, so I haven't got the bloke's name, and I keep forgetting the name. So someone else came up with this. Did a similar type of thing to me. He used to travel the country, used to do keynotes, drive home, be knackered by the time he got home, and his wife would keep the kids up. If he was getting there close to their bedtime, she'd let him stay up for an extra half hour so they could say hello to their dad. They were about 4 and 6 at the time. He'd get in. He just wanted to sit down and have a cup of tea. Kids would dive on him, and he'd go, "Oh, kids, get off." He said, "Oh, give me 10 minutes. Just need a rest and chat to your mum, and then I'll play with you." And he was lying, because in 10 minutes, mum put him to bed. So after a few months of that, he thought, right, not being the best dad in the world, what would the best dad in the world do? So he would park up, get his head straight, drive home, park, come in as quietly as possible, sneak up on the kids and dive on them. All right, and he found out 2 massively important things. First thing, they thought he was a god, best dad in the world, changed their relationship instantly, made memories that they're never going to forget. And 2, they got bored after 4 minutes. So And so we thought, oh, I'm onto something here. Does it work in other circumstances? So we haven't found a circumstance it doesn't work in. So 4-minute rule. Be the best. It's hard to be the best version of yourself for 8, 16 hours a day. Okay, if you're not used to it. But it's easy to be the best version of yourself for 4 minutes. So if you are that best version of you, and think about it, even if you're not feeling it, be that best version of it for the first 4 minutes of an interaction. Right? Once you set that tone, you can sit back and relax. Save your energy, because the tone is you've done that. Right? As a leader, first 4 minutes coming into your team, first 4 minutes of a meeting. Right? As a human, first 4 minutes at the breakfast table, first 4 minutes when you get home from work. Right? How many of you go home and to your partners and have a moan off when you get home? Oh, how was your day, darling? Oh, mine was bad. You think yours were bad? Let me tell you about mine. Right? Very common practice. But be that, oh, let me tell you how fantastic my day was. Right? So change that. So first 4 minutes of an interaction, just be that best version of you. What would the best boss do? What would the best partner do? What would the best sibling do? What would the best friend do? Just think about that and do that for 4 minutes. Just do one a day maybe, and then one in work, one at home, and then sort of work up to it. So you basically start being that best version of yourself 4 minutes more each day, right? Combine that with the gratitude, and you're onto a winner. Okay, next one. This was this question. Someone at work seems to care about me as a person. This was originally appeared in a Gallup poll in 2015. I don't know, you probably do an annual people survey type thing. I know the civil service do it, and that question is in there now, and it could well be in your question. The correlation between the answer into this question and the overall well-being of the individual was massive, right? So if you can say that someone cares about you, it's highly likely that your well-being in work is much higher than someone who can't. If your team feel that you care about them, you are giving that out. So if you can do that. Now the challenge with it is you might care deeply about them, but are you doing it visibly? Right? Do they feel it? Do they see it? Like I said, to tell it to your face. So I've always cared about everyone who's worked for me. It's basically his family, which is a bit dysfunctional sometimes, but I care about them. I do generally care about them, but sometimes because I'm busy and I'm caring about them, I'm forgetting to remind them and sort of visibly show them. So that's the tip is be genuinely interested. Right, and even if your memory isn't great, write it down. So if someone was going out for a party on a weekend, write it down. So when you come in on a Monday morning, you're doing your 4 minutes. All right, Dave, how did the party go? How was that? Or did the wedding go all right? So and so, so and so. Note those things, because it makes people will feel brilliant for it that you bothered to remember it. Let them see it and feel it. Okay. On top of that, I'm going to add the joy of what I would call is precision thanking. All right. So we often say, oh, thanks for that. And that's lovely. And people go it and then you walk on. So precision thanking. So it needs to be timely. You don't wait for an annual review or your monthly one-to-one or your weekly meeting. All right. Someone in your team does something, you go and thank them. Second, be specific. Thank you for doing that. The impact of doing it was this. So tell them what so I'm thanking you for doing that. The reason I'm thanking you is this, because it had that impact. And then the killer third ninja point is, and it made me feel. Right? I felt so proud of our team for doing it and things like that. So give them an emotion at the end. Right, now you need to do it with all your staff, because if you're just doing it with people, if you've got people who maybe aren't doing stuff that you need to find something for each, and I'd be quite religious about it, as it were, on doing it. But if you get into a habit of that, they will be soon saying strongly agree to that question of someone cares about me and it's my boss, right? So someone cares about me is good. If it's your boss that cares about you, that multiplier effect kicks in and it's massively better. So I hope that makes sense. Say, I'll send some notes. Next, the power of negativity, positive versus negative. Probably some people might know this. What do you reckon the ratio of positive to negative? So I got 1 to 1, Ned. So do you think that's a good ratio, positive to negative? Just banter and chat in your team. Do you think that's a good standard, or do you want it to be better? What do we reckon? I got Sally shaking her head. So better. We higher or lower? So 3 to 1. Well, yeah, more positive. So the minimum you want is about 3 to 1. Okay, lots of research. That's called the Lasada line. That actual research was disproven, but there's lots of other research that supports it. That 3 to 1 is the minimum you want. So if something in negative is said, you sort of need to say 3 positive things to balance it off. If you so relationships, in a relationship, if you're in a relationship, have a spouse, 5 to 1. So anybody cringing on that one? Yes, you have to say 5 good things about your partner for every bad thing you say about them. High performing teams, you want to get 6 to 1. And for young people, 8 to 1. All right, so I suppose the message here from me is that that we all like a moan, but actually moaning has a consequence. Chatting about problems and solving them is fine, but that general moan. So if they are moaning, don't support it. Don't willfully support it and join in, because it's so easy to get sucked into a moan, especially if it's someone who, as we were chatting earlier, we could all have a moan about Boris if we wanted, couldn't we? And that would be easy, it'd be an easy target, and we could probably spend the whole hour having a bitch about Partygate and things like that. But it actually does impact on that culture. You can use this in a joking way, as long as you don't avoid talking about challenging things. But if someone has a moan, literally comes in, oh yeah, I got cut up, I stubbed my toe. So and so, you say, oh, you've had a moan now. We're going to have to say 6 things because to get it back on track. But you can push, you can sort of push that, but try not to support. What I would say is try not to actively support moaning as a way, or contain it. What I often do at the start, you can do your 4 minutes at the start, and then go, if you've got a regular meeting, go, right, let's have a 10 minute moan. We're going to limit to 10 minutes what we got, and then we're going to focus. But also then have your successes and do your gratitude. So you can do gratitude at the start of a meeting. Don't have to do it just at home or for yourself. So you can put all those things together. So running out of time. So home play. Right. So not all, it's optional, and it takes a bit of effort, but it's worth doing. So first one, practice gratitude, make it a habit with yourself, with your family, and with your team. All right. Biggest gift, that's the greatest gift you could give yourself or anybody else. Second one, have a go at the 4 minute rule. Give it a go, practice it easy, 1 a day, then 2 a day, then 3 a day. Go have a go. Third one, be more visibly interested. Do that active thanking. Be more precision on that. Again, do it at home, makes a massive difference. Do it at work, makes a massive difference. And the last one is an observation one, right? So we don't note, we're so busy, we don't take time noticing, right? So notice when you're the best version of yourself. Notice when you're having a bad day, so you can adjust it. But notice the what happens when you try these things, because I don't want you to take this as gospel and I've got to listen to Mike, who the hell's he anyway. I want you to give it a go and do it for yourself, and if you notice then the difference, you'll invest more time in it. Right, certainly 4-minute rule, you should notice a massive difference with it. And the gratitude will take time. You're forming habits, so it might take months before you start really noticing it, but actually doing the gratitude, just doing it with your family, you'll end up laughing and smiling. You change the mood by doing it. So there's those things. So that's it for today. I'm just going to quickly run through. So we reflected on the year. I talked about which version of you people will see. I talked about Fleas and the impact leaders have. We did some stuff on science. We did some tips. And now I just want to finish. I got a little video at the end and talking about self-care. So the most popular meme you can ever see anywhere is, if you can only be one thing, be kind. Yeah. So we've all seen that. So I'm going to add to it. So if we can only be one thing, be kind to yourself. Okay. Tend that voice in your head. Right. And work with it. Become a friend. Have a chat with it. You can talk to it. You can notice it, listen to it. What does it sound like? Become that best friend, because you can't get away from it. Wherever you are, you will be there. Right? So it's a real important thing. And I'm going to end with this little video, which I think illustrates everything I talked about much better than I can.
I learned something that was really impactful for me, which is that your capacity to love others is limited only by your capacity to love yourself. And that's what inspired this piece of poetry, which I call "You Are Who You've Been Looking For." You are who you've been looking for. So stop looking for more unless you're looking in a mirror, because it's about time for you to see clearly that you are who you've been looking for. And that empty feeling you got, that hole in your chest, you only got that feeling because you think you're not blessed with everything you need. You see, we live in a consumerist society, which means they need you to buy stuff. And the easiest way to sell it is to tell you you're not enough. Buy this car, you'll get girls. Buy this bra, you'll get guys. And we're seeing it so much that we start believing these lies, but the truth is, the makeup they're selling to make you feel prettier is the same makeup you buy to stop feeling shittier about this lie they keep telling you that you are not enough. And what about the movies we watch, all the shows on TV? The more I watch, the more I see I need you to complete me. And yes, love is the answer, love is the key, but if you can't love yourself, how could you ever love me? And loving yourself, what does that even mean? Like massages and selfies and that sort of thing? Because the more I think about it, the more it feels weird. I've always been taught that self-love was something to be feared. I've been taught that arrogance is bad and vanity, it's not good. And even my bracelets are telling me to act how Jesus would. So what should I do? How should I act? I'm supposed to love myself, but how do I even do that? Well, I got a trick that I picked up from a friend who noticed that I was quick to defend her when she would say something negative about herself. She would say, "I'm so dumb," and I'd say, "You're so brilliant." She'd say, "I'm so weak," and I'd say, "You're so resilient." And when she said, "I feel ugly," and I said, "You look beautiful," she asked me why I was so dutifully filling up her cup constantly and yet treating my own cup so irresponsibly. Because when I looked in the mirror, my voice was quite clear. You're ugly, you're too thin, your hairline's receding, you got a pimple on your chin. And that was when she gave me a piece of advice that changed my life. She gave me a hug. And she said, "Treat yourself like someone you loved." Treat yourself like someone you loved. Now, I had been standing, but I needed to be sitting because I couldn't believe that I had been letting myself keep forgetting that I was who I'd been looking for. And deep in my core, I knew it was time to stop looking for more until I could look through all my fear and look into a mirror and see clearly that the man looking back at me was the only one who can make me happy, and I am already enough. And I am not any more special or unique than you. That is why I'm here to speak to you. You are already enough. And when you start to see that, you will start to be that. Your world will get brighter, your load will get lighter, and you can see that with life, you can be a lover, not a fighter. And that life, you deserve it. Because you are worth it. And there is no point in letting yourself keep forgetting, because no matter what you say or do, you are perfect. And so today, I hope I leave you with a direction correction away from the flaws you see in your reflection. They aren't flaws to me, they are simply protection against all the doubts you have of your perfection. So start today. Take a good, long look in the mirror and say, I am who I've been looking for.
Just want to end with probably one of my favourite shots ever. You can choose to live in the front row or the third row, right? It's the same ride. It's the same ride, and it's just sometimes it's the way you look at it. So thank you so much for. I've gone at 2 minutes over, so apologies for that, everyone. Thank you for those who could stay. I'm just reading through the chat now, and I'm responding. I'll respond to the chat before I go, and I'm quite happy to hang around if anybody wants to chat after. But thank you very much for your time. I hope you've had a fantastic leadership month, and that this has sort of hit the spot for you. So and thank you for all your kindness in the chat, and for leaving your videos on and smiling in the right places. Thank you, thank you for doing that. So it meant I did have some connection. So cheers.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much. What a great talk. And I know that everyone will have loved it. I'm going to try an experiment with this. I want to put to the test your IT skills. So if everyone takes themselves off mute and does a normal proper clap, I want to know if you hear that. So if everyone could give that a try quickly.
Thanks everyone. You just got a clap.
Okay. Oh, good. Oh, fab. We've all got to.
And a dog. I had a dog as well. There's at least one barking.
Never let it be said that you're not appreciated by all species.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Mike. And that brings us to the end of our guest speaker program for this month, as I said. So thank you everybody who's given up their time and who's managed to make it to the sessions and who's contributed as well. And Mike, I know that we'll be in touch to get some of those mind maps from you and to speak to you in the future as well. So thank you, everybody. The recordings of all of the sessions will be available for internal use on the YouTube channel. So look out for the link and you'll be able to watch them back or share them with colleagues in the future. But thanks very much. And Mike, thank you once again.
Cheers.
Thanks,
Take care,
everyone.
everyone.